Hi friends! Today we're going to make this really cool witch. How do we know it's a witch? Well, we can't see the face or most of the body, but there's enough detail down here in the leg and in the boot and this creepy little spider to tell us what's going on in the picture. We're going to use the technique called oil pastel resist. So if you have oil pastel or crayon, that's what we're going to be drawing with today. If you don't feel comfortable drawing directly with your oil pastels or your crayons, you can draw with pencil first. That way, if you make a mistake, you can easily erase it. All right, let's get started. What I like to do first is we're going to do this zigzag pattern here. Zigzag is just up and down, up and down, up and down pattern for the bottom of the dress. So I have this tiny little piece of red. I'll use a little bit of red here. And I'm going to start not next to the corner, but a little bit further away from the corner. And I'm going to come down a little bit, about this much, about a third of the way. And then I'm going to go up and then down and then up. Then maybe a little short one, just so it doesn't look perfect. Because sometimes in art, perfect is boring, right? Go up, down, and then I'm going to go back up. So this is going to be the ragged part of the dress. We're doing it zigzaggy so it doesn't look like it's a nice, clean, neat dress. It's going to look ripped and old and witchy, which is what we're going for. Next, find where the middle is, and then a little bit next to the middle, we're going to make one line that comes down, not all the way down, but a little bit past the middle. So here's the middle of our paper. We're just going to go a little bit past the middle. We still have all this space over here. This is going to be one part of the leg. Here's the other side. So here's one leg. Then right next to that, another leg. And then the other part of the leg. I'm being careful not to draw into my zigzag area. And I'm going to give this witch a little stripy pattern to her socks. I'm going to make some little curves for stripes, just to show that it has dimension. Make it look like it curves around so it's not a flat leg. We want to make it look like it has some depth to it, some thickness. So here are my curvy socks. Next, I'm going to get out a purple, and you can use whatever colors you want, by the way. I'm just using these because they remind me of Halloween and I like the colors. I'm going to make one little curve again at the bottom of the sock, but then I'm going to go, when I'm on my right leg here, I'm going to go straight down, almost to the bottom, not quite. Straight line, same thing on the other side, almost to the bottom, but not quite. Then we'll create our boot. So this is going to be a heel. I'm going to go to the right, up, and then I'm going to make a big curly tip to my boot. You can make some really cool boots here if you want to, and then I'm going to go up. This might take a little bit of practice, but that's why we're here. If you want to do it with pencil, you can. Here's my curly tip of my boot. And then the final detail, I'm going to go ahead and put some little X's with a light color. These can be the buckles of the boots or the laces of the boots. So here's where the fun part is going to begin. We are going to use watercolor, if you have it. I have a little watercolor set here, and I'm going to paint over the top of this. And the oil of the crayon or the wax pastel should push away the paint. So I'll set up my set here so you can see it. I've got a little bit of water. These are caked watercolors, so I need to add a little bit of water to activate them. I'll start with the dress. I'll use this fuchsia color over here. So I put a little water in to activate it, and then just simply paint. Being careful to stay inside the lines, but if I get on top of the lines, the pastel will push the color away. So if you wanted to do something really neat and make a pattern inside the dress, this pattern's going to push the paint away. Check this out. You can sort of, even though it's a darker color underneath, it's pushing the paint away to give it a resist. They call that resist. Resist is a word for pushing it away. So this oil pastel is pushing the paint away. Now, if you go over it too many times, the resist won't work. You don't want to go like this, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because then it might start to disappear. So just a couple little swipes on top. If you don't have watercolor, you can color these in with crayon. And you can still get a really cool looking Halloween picture. Next, I'll go for some orange, and I'll just do every other. Make a little pattern with my socks. So I'll do one here, skip one so there's white in between, do another, skip one so there's white in between, being really careful up here, skip one. Notice I'm not using a huge amount of paint either. Watercolor is supposed to be see-through. Marker could work with this too. So if you don't have any watercolors, marker would look really pretty. You can use anything to color this in. If you have a different material that you haven't used ever or in a long time, look at that, see how it's pushing it away? So cool. I'm going right over it with the paint, but the yellow is pushing it right away. As I was saying, if you have some materials you haven't used in a while or have never used, try them out. Experiment with them. It's great to have different materials to create with. Keeps it interesting, learn new things, acquire new skills. It's all good. Look at that. If you see it really closely, it looks like you can see it beading up. See the little tiny beads of paint on there? It's trying to push those away. And it will succeed if I don't go over it too many times. So here I've got my witchy legs and feet and bottom of the dress complete. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add the spider. When I see the spider, it reminds me of a yo-yo. I'm gonna go ahead and make a spider. So I'm just going to make the abdomen. This is the body. Color it in black. I'm using a Sharpie for this, but you can use a crayon, regular marker, anything. I'm making a little head, and then I'm going to make how many legs on a spider? That's right, 8. 4 on one side, 1 with a bend, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, total of 8. Spider web, there we go. If you want to color the background in, you can. I like the background colored in because it really helps this witch to stand out, but if you want to leave it white, you can do that too. I'm going to quickly go ahead with a little layer of green paint. Being careful not to paint over the area I already painted because it's wet. And if the two painty colors touch next to each other, they will definitely blend. So I'm being really careful here. Nice light green. It's not a lot. I'm not digging into my paint to try and get it very, very dark. It's a light color. It's very pretty. It's transparent. You can see through it, which is what these paints are meant to do. So I've got one side done. I'll carefully go down the middle. And even if you're not painting, if you're using a marker or a crayon or even colored pencils would look good with this, try and color the background. It gives it a little extra kick, a little bit more interest, more color to grab the viewer's eye, to make it look really interesting. Whenever you're drawing a picture, you should always consider the background and what you're going to do with your background too, because that's part of the art. The stuff in the back behind your witch is still part of the art too. So I'm almost done here, going into home stretch. Filling in my background, and voila. Let's smooth this out a little bit, and there's my little witch. It's pretty cool. Quick and easy, just using line and some shapes, and you can come up with a really interesting piece of art. Finish these up if you haven't already, and I can't wait to see them. Thanks for joining me for this tutorial.